Welcome to the Story Machine 9000, a podcast where we conceptualize movies based on the 48-hour concept. We create stories based on four things: a genre, a line of dialogue, a prop, and a location. It's kind of like a capicola. It's big sausage with a bunch of stuff crammed into it, and it goes really well with cheese. I'm Joshua Lytle, a filmmaker and storyteller, and I'm joined today by...
I'm Chris Wegman. I'm a filmmaker, and that's that.
I'm Dave Ailing, filmmaker as well, doer of voices. And,
voice talent?
Yeah, voice talent, and part-time dungeon master.
Well, I say we should get this machine up and running. Can you oil the machine?
Oil it?
Yeah.
Just,
Can you push in the oiler?
In here, just
And I'm gonna pull the
pull the pull start.
I'm gonna pull the pull start.
You really got to give it the elbow.
All right, I try again.
So it works the back.
All right. You know, it's like the one time you don't expect it works. There you go. Third time's a charm.
Now it's chugging.
All right, cool.
It's a new lighting setup. It's really nice.
Yeah. All right, here comes the here comes the genre. The genre is adventure.
Ooh.
And the prop is a doll. The location is jail.
Hell yeah.
Hold on, let me get the line. The line is, "Thanks for that donation." The line is, "Thanks for that donation."
Okay.
Man, I like this location better. The moon. Oh, that's okay.
The moon.
So just to recap, our genre is adventure. Our prop is a dowel.
Dowel or doll?
Doll.
Like
Sorry.
the thing that children play with.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our prop is a doll. Our line is "Thanks for that donation." And our location is jail.
Wow. Okay. Well, adventure, that's a big one.
Love it.
It's got a lot of
Love it.
stuff in it. What do you like about adventure, Dave?
Oh man, it's my preferred genre of movie when I'm cruising around on Netflix. I love it. I love it so much. As a dungeon master and as an overall nerd, I love adventure movies. So it's my usual go-to. Things I love about it are it's got all the classics. You know, it has character, sort of a main character conflict change. It's right on the forefront. They're doing doing something. It's an A to B adventure. Adventure is kind of leaving where you are familiar and going to parts unknown, coming back changed. That to me is like the hallmark of a good adventure story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I when I think of adventure, I think of it being sort of synonymous with quest.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's a quest for something.
yeah.
Yeah. I think we could definitely think about the character journey where you start out in like a normal situation and
Yeah.
it becomes normal and you're working to get back. So
When I think of adventure, I think of Indiana Jones and the Temple of
There we
Doom or
go.
something.
Yeah.
Or,
Yep.
you know, basically Indiana Jones movies.
Indiana Jones
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. Last Crusade. That's a good one.
And there's an item.
There's an actual
item
yeah.
that you have to go get, and you have to keep it from the bad guys are going to get it too.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, you know, sorry, you were going to say something, Josh.
No. Go for it first, because I feel like whatever I say next may just end up being sort of a chain reaction of yes and stuff. So
I usually do a lot of research for D&D stuff, and one of the things that I found is like setting up a classic dungeon, which is, you know, your dungeon encounter is usually an adventure unto itself. There's the thing that you want, and there's the trials that you have to go through to get it. And so you start out, there's actually like a little structure that maybe I can share, which I think is pretty cool. So here's the 5-room structure. You have room 1 is entrance and guardian. Then room 2 is usually like a puzzle or role-playing challenge that challenges the characters themselves. Room 3, this is where it kind of divides. So they could either go into the red herring, or room 4 is the kind of the big climax or the big battle, the big boss. And then room 5 is actually an unexpected ramification from having one. So that's like the plot twist, and that's the thing that keeps him going. This could lead to multiple sequels.
Okay.
Right?
I got you.
I like it.
Yeah.
The plot twist, I mean, obviously by virtue of it being a plot twist, it doesn't necessarily resolve or...
You know, thinking of a movie, could the fifth room of the dungeon be kind of like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where like is like the twist of, would it be the cup or maybe his father being shot?
I think his father being shot is
Okay,
the twist.
that's
it's
what
the unexpected consequence.
Yeah.
But the cup heals.
Him. That's why he has to go.
Oh, the
get,
cup
I guess
heals
that's
him.
why he has to go get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
trying to relate
it's
to
not
the movie.
finite, right? It's
No.
But I think the plot twist is like he doesn't come away with a cup in the end.
Oh,
right?
there we go. That would
Yeah.
be the yes.
Right. So
He has to let
whatever
it go.
thing we go towards, maybe it's if we think of other stories, there's like the ending and like the false ending and the real ending. Mm-hmm. You know,
Yeah.
false ending is he gets the cup, but his father's shot. Real ending.
Well, when they're escaping, he has to choose between.
Yeah, he has to choose between
grabbing the
it.
cup or
Yeah.
getting out.
Come to think of it, does he ever... He never walks away with what he wants.
Goes after.
Well,
almost never.
I guess the government took the ark.
Right.
Exactly.
First,
In the end,
yeah.
he never does.
Oh, and he
yeah,
lost
you're
the
right.
stones in the river.
Yeah.
But he's richer for that.
No, not
adventure.
all the stones. He gives one of the stones back to the
Yeah.
villagers. That's why he went to get it, was to give it to the
The crystal skull, it just turns into a space machine and flies off, right? Space
Something.
machine, also known as a UFO. Whatever.
We have a lot of trouble coming up with the right words for things on this podcast.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've established that 5 dungeon structure can work in movies too. Something else, maybe we should look at some of the other elements of our story that we have to include, like the doll. You know, when I think of dolls in stories, a lot of times they're in horror movies where it could be maybe the item or there's something hidden in the doll. That I think of like there's lots of things where something's hidden inside of something else.
Maybe that's the doll's the thing that they're after, but they discover something about the doll that's
Yes,
different.
maybe. I don't know. Some of the other elements. Yeah.
I was looking at it from... So jail has a lot of different things going on. I mean, it could be breaking out. It could be breaking in. It
Yes.
could be the...
Kind of like breaking in for some reason.
Yeah.
That tripped my trigger.
Just in the spirit of doing things different.
Yeah. I mean, there's a thing that's in jail, like Shawshank is all about getting out of jail.
So it'd be like being put in jail because there's something there.
Right.
Okay.
Could be something. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
There's some choices that we can make here too. So
Right.
is it a maximum security or minimum security prison?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a resort prison.
White collar
For like
prison.
bankers.
Yeah.
But there's this secret underneath it.
Oh my God.
Maybe it's like either a total badass, like our hero's going to be badass, but like their situation is so like not. Or like he trains for this moment and he just finds out that it's like
just like some sort of correctional.
it's some sort of
simple.
correctional thing, but he needs to navigate. We're genre bending a little bit, but he like needs to navigate maybe he needs to navigate like the more nuanced portions of prison, like the bartering and trade.
Yeah.
And the
He doesn't actually get to fight anybody because this isn't that.
We can start with a situation. We can build a character around that and then start to identify their needs and wants. Or we could start with a character and then insert them into a situation. Because I'm sensing a lot of energy around
Breaking
this
into
character
jail.
wants
In.
this doll
yeah.
that is in prison, and so it's, I don't know if it's a collector's item or if it has some sort of other significance. If it's not a, they're not dolls, they're action figures or something like that, or if it's
Right.
yeah. So regardless, we have this character or group of characters, and they want to break into jail for some reason.
Yeah.
And what motivates them could be this doll. Maybe it's somebody who's just gotten out of jail, and it's that moment when they re-enter society and they meet up with their old group of friends, and he's telling them about this super rare 12-inch GI Joe that one of the inmates has.
And maybe he, upon getting out, like, you know, meets up with his group of friends. He's out of maximum security prison, and one of his friends has made a I'll sell your stuff on eBay store and specializes in these action figures that are super rare, and like the prisoner ends up, or like the ex-con ends up describing something, and he's like, dude, that is the holy grail of toys.
Right. And it's got to be big, right? It's not going to be, oh my God, that's worth $100,000. That's some private collector in Saudi Arabia really wants that, and they're going to pay millions for it.
So
yeah,
it's got to be worth going back to jail.
So at the beginning of this, I was really sort of excited about the idea that maybe there's something inside the doll, like a clue, like maybe the doll is part of the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
But now I as we're talking about this collector maybe scheme, it sounds sort of like a Wolf on Wall Street sort of like make money quick kind of, and talking about like toy trading, you know, like people who buy toys and then sell them for more money, or can like buy and sell in toys the same way people buy and sell in the stock market. So maybe you're right. Maybe what if he gets out of jail and starts and joins in this scheme, this business, and it turns out that something that was back in jail, like this doll that was back in jail, happens to be the mother lode of, so like they're on this up and up of like, oh my God, we're gonna make so much money, and then he realizes, wait a minute, that thing that you talked about in the past, that's our ticket.
That's the ticket to the top.
The one thing we have to sell, and then we can leave, you know, and be rich forever. And then
I want to name this thing right now.
Yeah. Have you got a name, or you just want to name it?
I just want to name it.
Breaking into Jail. I don't know.
No, not the movie. The MacGuffin. I want to name the MacGuffin.
Okay.
Oh, the toy?
Yeah, the toy.
Well, I was going to suggest that I was looking at the 5-room structure, and I associate Boss with Warden, and normally a prisoner probably wouldn't be allowed to have an action figure. So what if it was the Warden who had a collection all across his wall?
Oh, I love it.
But it's maybe we can narrow it down to just the one that's super, super special. I agree. We should name whatever this doll or action figure or whatever it is.
That at first they don't really care about, but then in the end, it becomes really important.
Right. Let's just get the pieces and then do the story.
Got it.
Yes.
Yeah. So the name of the thing, is going to be, looking around the room, scanning desperately. It should almost have something to do with the reformed character himself, maybe like a little nod to it.
Oh, okay. I was going to suggest it was like a private eye, like it was a sort of like a GI, but PI something.
Private eye?
Yeah, like PI.
Joe.
Is that
P.I. Joe?
Is that right? Would you call it PI, right?
A PI is a
private investigator.
Yeah,
right?
Private investigator, right.
Which would explain why the Warden
likes it so much.
A kind of police officer.
So
PIs
aren't like, I mean, they're investigators not associated with the law.
Right, but
yes.
I don't know.
But he could
it was a loose connection.
That would be like him as a warden could read old
PIP
novels.
comic books.
Okay, so it's a comic book character brought to life, right?
Yeah.
And I love it, because maybe based on the comic books that they read, how they go about this mystery of finding these things is influenced by the comic book itself.
They might use something in the comic book to break into jail.
Oh yeah.
It's like in episode,
episode 53 they did this. All right. We're getting all these pieces. This is good. We still need the name of this PI Private Eye, PI.
I liked PI Pete, but
PI Pete?
Yeah. I don't know. PI Paul, PI.
Does PI actually come at the beginning of their name, or is it like
blah blah blah? PI.
Yeah. Something.
I don't know.
PI.
Yeah.
Like Magnum PI.
I was leaning really heavily on this sort of GI Joe with alliteration.
Yeah.
I like it.
No, let's do it. Yeah.
PI Pete?
Mm-hmm. Pete MacGuffin. I mean, that's his full name. When they're talking about the story.
Well, that's his last name.
Yeah, that's
Right.
his last
That's
name.
the character name, but
Yeah,
the comic book
P.I.P.
or the series is called P.I.P.
Yeah.
P.I.P.
You know,
Starring Pete McGuffin.
Starring
McGuffin?
Pete McGuffin. I love it. Peter McGuffin was your average private eye.
So I could see that opening scene where our main character is just getting out of prison and he gets his official pardon from the warden and he's in his office and he's
It's like showing off his stuff.
right. We see
like
we
this?
see all of it. We see all the memorabilia, and it's not until he gets on the outside that he makes a sort of offhand comment about it or says it in passing somehow, and it's one
To
of
his
his buddies that stops him and says, "Oh my God, Pete McGuffin, P.I.P."
Let's identify who we have. So let's just start cranking out names and people and characters because I think it would be helpful.
Yep.
Main guy.
Jerry.
Yep. Jerry.
Sure. I don't know.
Jerry.
Jerry.
So we have Jerry, ex-con Jerry, is picked up at prison from his wiseacre friend, Mort.
Mort.
Mort and Jerry go back to Mort's place.
What's the warden's name?
Warden. Warden.
Warden?
What?
What's the warden's name?
Sheldon. No, not
What
Sheldon.
would be
No.
like a last name? Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Warden
yeah. You never get a
so-and-so.
first name of the
Yeah.
warden.
Wang.
yeah.
Warden Wang.
Warden.
He's the toughest warden. I like Warden Wang.
Am I gonna get in trouble because he's the bad guy?
Yeah, probably.
He's always busting Jerry's balls. Warden Wang. I like
I
Warden
don't
Wang.
trust
Yeah.
you,
And,
Jerry.
and maybe PIP is like kind of like the Green Hornet. Or no, I guess it would have been Kato. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, he could be Kato.
Well,
He's like
PIP could have a sidekick.
I don't know. Sorry, I was trying to make a loose connection between. Yeah, that's why he likes him so much because he's one of the only Asian comic book characters. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
yeah, well, maybe that's it.
Green Horton
It was like,
not.
well, I'm just maybe he was like an Asian detective, but it kind of flopped. And this is an old comic book, and
Yeah.
it kind of flopped because people weren't ready for that yet.
Yeah.
But now, because it flopped, it's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool because
Yeah.
it flopped.
It was on the up and up until World War II happened and then sales tanked.
I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they made like maybe there's only like very few,
Yeah.
And this is
editions
all
of it.
And this is all information that Mort is giving to Jerry.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God!
Don't you know the realization of this thing? Total history of product.
Yeah.
inserted here.
Yep. The merchandising for this movie is going to be insane.
Do you
Yeah,
think
it
the
is.
warden even knows how valuable it is, or do you think he just relates to it on a personal level?
I think he relates to it on a personal level because he, as a kid, also loved PIP.
Yeah.
Oh, we did name Pete McGuffin or something.
All right. Okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those things. It's it was a Japanese book, but on the other hand, when it came to America, it got
okay.
translated in a way that was
there we go.
Right.
that
It
was
was-
palpable for
It was
or
a
palatable
Chinese
for everyone.
It was a Japanese-made comic book made to suit an American audience.
Right.
So it's
like
don't you like hot dogs and baseball like every American?
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And then that would explain why it definitely sort of tanked. Like it just stopped.
It was
during the war.
Yeah, it was like an attempt at American culture that just tanked because it wasn't quite it. But there was like a lot of like heavy Japanese influence. You can strike a personal chord with the warden because he just loves it. And in a raid of somebody's cell found it, and it's like at the center of his like mound of treasure of confiscated items under glass,
Lock
under
and key.
lock and key, lasers, pressure plates, the whole nine.
Yeah. And I like it because it I think there are some strong echoes between that and the sort of the dungeon model, right? There's the thing at the end of this sort of gauntlet of tasks or struggles or booby traps, or something. We kind of have we have the sort of beginnings of our story. So let's take a break and when we come back, we'll start to figure out what it is that Jerry and Mort are up to and how they're going to plan on essentially breaking into jail.
So you care about certain things in your life, right, guys? Maybe it's your car,
Or a boat.
Yep.
well, maybe it's your car, your clothes, maybe your career. What about the other C words in your life?
Me, Chris.
We care about you, Chris, but what about coffee?
I don't drink coffee.
Well, maybe you should, actually, because if you cared, you wouldn't pay for crazy prices for mass-produced coffee, or you could actually give a damn, Chris, and grind and brew some Abracadabra coffee. That's right. Abracadabra single-origin coffee is grown by farmers who give a damn and roasted in the mountains of southern Vermont by people who give a damn. So give a damn it, Chris, and get yourself some today by visiting abracadabracoffee.com. Yes, friends, that's abracadabracoffee.com. And tell them the Story Machine 9000 sent you. And that, my friends, is our first sponsor. How cool is that? We have a coffee sponsor.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, and their coffee is great. I actually had some this morning, and it is just fantastic. So if you want to be a sponsor or actually give us some input into the Story Machine 9000 so we can randomly pick your suggestions, you can email us at, and I'm pointing over to Josh.
You can reach us at storymachine9000@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at storymachine9k, or use the hashtag SM9k. All right, and we're back. So when we left off, we have Jerry, who is just left prison. Did not escape.
Released.
Was released from prison. And he meets up with his buddy, his old partner in crime, Mort. And in passing, Jerry mentions something about Warden Wang's P.I. Pete collection in his office. And this catches Mort's ear because Mort knows that PIP is an extremely valuable collectible.
I can see it going down like to paint some action, like, you know, Mort picks him up from prison in his old kind of beat up car, and the backseat is just filled with just trinkets, this and that. And you know, Jerry says to him, Mort, what the hell's all this stuff?
Well, you know, I don't have a partner in crime anymore, so I got into the internet business. Selling toys.
Yeah.
That sounds creepy, Mort. That's what he said. That sounds creepy, Mort.
Well, how's that going for you?
I sell toys to adults.
I sell toys. That sounds creepy.
That sounds creepy. No, collectors. Collectible items.
Dude, this thing could give me $200. He like pulls
he
out
holds
a
up
random
this.
toy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and they talk all the way back to Mort's apartment. They get back to his apartment, and he like pulls up his computer and he shows him like all of his sales. He's like, yeah, this stuff's a gold mine. Like, have you ever run across anything like that? And that's how we, you know, and then Jerry's like, actually. And then go to vivid, it cuts to like vivid shots of prison life. And he's like, although it was hard in prison, I always noticed that the cops would go in the security guards would go in and raid people's cells. When they did, they stole only their best stuff.
It's kind of funny because the warden's taking on this sort of like fiefdom property, right? You know, so he sees the prison as his fiefdom, and he takes all their stuff. Especially the stuff, the incoming stuff. You know, when people
come in,
when people are
if there's anything good, he kind of snatches it up.
Yeah.
And so
no one's collection was safe in there.
And so Mort recognizes that what Jerry's telling him is actually a very valuable thing, and we insert the backstory of P.I. Pete there as he explains why he's so valuable.
Yeah. So Jerry's like, yeah, this one thing, it was under glass, and there was like little lasers in it. I was only in there one time right before my arraignment, but, you know, it looked expensive.
So
Mort's like, expensive?
So it's worth millions?
Millions.
It's got to be worth going to jail for.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so
there's this one guy on Adult Toy Net. No, that sounds terrible.
All right. Yeah, it's worth millions. We can leave it at that. That's vague enough. Mm-hmm. And maybe Mort's the one who's gung-ho.
Dude, PIP's the holy grail.
Yeah, he's like, you know, we need to get back to stealing stuff, and Jerry just got out of prison, so maybe he's sort of unwilling to.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want to go there. He
like,
just got out of the clink.
Like,
Yeah.
$1 million or not, I don't know, $1 million or not. Does he not actually?
So here's where
Is it not worth it?
So here's
Worth
where
it
we
to
kind
him?
of get into Jerry's motivation, and I think, what if the reason Jerry is in prison kind of aligns with the fact that he's got to go back, whether it's he owes Mort a favor or I don't know, or the other way around. I don't know.
I had a thought, like his cellmate had PIP, and his cellmate like had this little collection of stuff, and he really didn't want to let it go. And raid after raid, they would take, this item. They took away Squirrely Squirrel. They took away, Jingles the magical otter, and they took away all of his favorite things. But he always managed to keep PI Pete because that was his most valued thing. He would like give up something. But in the last raid, they found PI Pete, and the warden was there. And he's like, "Get it?" And and this guy was like, "No, I'm going to protect it with my life." And they beat the hell out of him. they tried to
warden's
rivet.
Crooked. And
Yeah, the warden's crooked, and they threw him in solitaire, and he went crazy, and he was never the same again because of that. Because of PIP.
And so that's his motivation to go back?
Yeah, is to avenge his cellmate, who was, your cellmate becomes kind of your buddy unless he stabs you.
So I feel like one of the guys, Jerry or Mort, one of them has to be gung-ho to go back to jail or get in there, and the other one has to be sort of hesitant.
Yeah.
One of them, I think my first draw is that Jerry should be the one who doesn't want to go back into prison because he was already there.
Right. Yeah, I think it's tricky because it could be one of three motives, right? It could be to get the toy to sell for money so they can be on Easy Street. Mm-hmm. It could be to get the toy to avenge his buddy, or it could be
at this point it's both.
Yeah.
Well, if I was going to avenge my buddy, I would give it back to him.
You would give it back to him. That's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or it could be this third thing that somehow relates to the reason he was in prison in the first place.
Could they be going in for different reasons? Or could they,
Or it could be classic revenge.
It does seem weird that you would have two motives to go in and no one saying, let's stay out. And if Mort wants riches, he could convince Jerry that, no, we're not going in to make $1 million. We're going in to save your friend's toy and give it back to him. I guess it's kind of like revenge, or we're trying to make it even, but Mort might double cross him at the end.
That's true.
That could be sort of the twist.
Actually, that's good with the two motivations.
And it could play into the fact why Jerry's in prison in the first place, and Mort isn't. Maybe Mort ran out on him during the heist, and Jerry got busted. So
Mort's a lousy friend.
Yeah, Mort. Okay. Maybe Mort's the bad guy here.
Okay, so our heroes, now having their motivations, need to get into prison.
Yes.
So they have to commit a crime to get into prison.
I guess when I was thinking about breaking into prison, it would be picture being in prison and you want to break out and you want to do it as as incognito as possible, and they're trying to break in as incognito as possible
because you want to have the freedom to move around.
Yeah,
right.
It's true.
And maybe
in episode 16 of PIP, he found himself in a sticky situation where he needed to maybe there was like a jewel heist or something like that, and so they reverse engineer the comic. He was like, oh well, the burglar in this case used suction cups to go up the side of the building and get in and flew with a glider to get out. What if we just reverse the thing? What if we make a glider and glide our way into prison, and we'll use suction cups to get out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit that I don't know enough about breaking into prison.
If anyone knows about breaking into prison, please email us.
Yeah.
We could use your help. I like your idea, Dave, about because we've talked about this, like the episodes. And so episode 16, P.I. Pete has to break into prison to find something or find some information. Maybe he needs to reverse engineer how someone escaped from prison, but he's not an actual detective. I don't know why he's going to prison. But episode 16 is the last episode. It's the last issue of the comic, and it was a two-parter.
Oh,
It was a very limited run.
Oh, and they never found out how they did it.
They never found out how he got it. So they know how to get into prison, but the episode or the comic where he was supposed to get out, episode 17, doesn't exist.
And Mort says, I only read the comic where they broke in.
Yeah.
They didn't release the one where they broke out. So I'm looking at the line, and it's thanks for that donation. And my mind immediately gravitated towards some sort of like toy drive or something that the prison does. I don't know.
Or like a church.
Or a church. It's just that there's an event, something that's happening at the prison, whether it's the warden's ball or it's a thing that allows them access to.
So maybe the warden puts on a fundraising event, which is a ball where he auctions off some of his better findings.
Yeah.
Except for
PIP. And so it creates this this caper scenario where there's an event going on, and that's under normal circumstances they would not be able to break into prison. Just not possible.
So referencing your list, we could actually treat prison like the 5-room scenario. Mm-hmm. What's number 1 on the list?
It is the entrance or guardian.
All right. So that's the front gates, right?
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, are Jerry and Mort entering as guests, or are they entering as maybe wait staff? Maybe they're.
Yeah. What's their entry here?
Yeah. Are they coming in like? Yeah. Is this National Treasure where he's like, I'm in a suit and I'm walking in the door?
Being that Jerry has already been in prison and could be recognized by some of the guards, maybe he should disguise himself in some way.
Yeah.
So maybe he dresses in drag and is the date of rich toy billionaire Mortimer Skink, who has accidentally left his invitation at home.
I'm trying to think of whose idea that was. And
he was like, we have to get in there somewhere. Yeah. Hard cut.
Well,
boom.
And remember, however they get in is how P.I. Pete got in.
Yes.
So it has to fit with
so
that.
We would reference.
So.
In episode, we only have 16 episodes. So in episode 10, he tries to get into a.
Yeah, we were saying 16, 7. So like whatever it is, there's 2 episodes.
Okay.
They're a 2-parter, and so in episode 16, the villain was having a lavish event at his chateau, and and to break in, they did X, either dressed up as waitstaff or Pete dressed in drag and had his assistant go as the.
So if is the challenge here getting an invitation? Because if they're going as guests, obviously they need to get an invitation. If they're going as staff, then they just need to sneak in the back door and act
and be wearing the same stuff.
Kind of like the staff idea.
Seems
more
practical.
Yeah, and the staff,
adventure-y.
In theory, dressing as staff would give them access to the back, whereas being guests, they wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Jerry and Mort decide that they're going to
join the catering crew.
Right. And Jerry knows where to get the uniforms because he did the laundry that got sent out for dry.
So he knows who the
Yeah.
catering crew is because this has happened before.
So he's
seen it. He's seen it a million times looking from his prison cell window. Yeah. Well, he knows the rhythms of prison, and he's bringing Mort through it. And Mort is kind of Mort is the everyman, the man who has not been in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So we are going along with Mort on this adventure as Jerry explains. Yeah, this happens 6 o'clock sharp every single day. A truck will come out of there filled with laundry, and if I know the prison, and I think I do, the catering staff will arrive promptly at 5:30. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know that
6:05.
He knows the inner workings of the prison, and because this event's happened before, he knows a bit of that. He knows where to get the uniforms from, so they go there. And yeah, so that's how they get in.
Right.
They're in the back. Should we say they're in the back now? They're in the kitchen.
Right. So they actually hop in one of the fresh laundry carts and make it inside.
Well, no, they can walk in straight with the caterers because
with
they're
the
wearing
caterers,
the caterer.
right.
Yeah, they look like caterers. Yeah, no, that's all right. There'll be a laundry cart chase later on in the movie.
Right. So they get in with the caterers, and the kitchen is a frenzy.
Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, I guess Jerry knows the way around the prison.
Right.
So,
What's the next step in our process?
oh yeah, that's true.
Puzzle.
Well,
We didn't really define guardian yet. I was going to suggest another character, sort of the guardian character, as being sort of a snitch, and so he's gonna. So and they're worried because if Jerry's seen by this snitch character,
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of like the. I hesitate to say it like an all-seeing eye, but there's
Could it be
some sort of
his roommate that kind of went crazy and
oh,
isn't all there, and he's afraid if his, like, when they see him,
he's just such a wild card now because he's had his stuff stolen.
and he recognized Jerry. They're afraid that he's gonna. I mean, I don't know why there would be any inmates in the prison or in the.
Yeah.
I think. I mean.
Or maybe it's just. I mean.
What if it was a guard that he didn't get along with? I mean, so whoever would be letting the waitstaff in, there's got to be a guard there, like checking IDs.
Perhaps it was the same guard that did the initial raid.
And so as they're like getting closer in the car, they notice he's like, oh no, like that guy knows me.
Right.
And like we're done here. And right before their truck pulls up, someone like a new guy comes up and he's like, hey, take a break, I got this. And they get sort of a breath of like a relief, like, oh, okay, we're good.
Yeah, I think of it as just this sort of very macho guard. He's just, he's like a Mongo. He's just, and he's the sort of right hand man of Warden Wang. He's
he's the muscle.
I was just sort of thinking guardian in the truest sense, right? He's just the man at the door.
That could be something that could take our characters forward. Is that Jerry's been there, and Mort just keeps on asking questions like, "Who's that? He looks mean." Oh, that's this guy. He's the worst guard in the.
I like that. I like this idea of, on the one hand, Jerry has this very street smarts. He knows how prison life operates, and on the other hand, Mort is bringing his knowledge from the comic books into the equation, and so they're kind of tripping through it together, almost like a three-legged race, right?
They need each other,
right? So every time Jerry hits a barrier, Mort's there to rescue them with some comic book knowledge, and likewise, when Mort is in a pinch, Jerry's there to bail them out because he's been to prison and he kind of knows how things operate, and so they kind of have a rhythm.
Yeah.
Going between the two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a great buddy scenario as they make it into the kitchen. Maybe they're challenged by they're dressed as caterers, so they're tasked with
actually cooking,
which neither of them have done.
Is that the puzzle part?
I think that's the puzzle part. So
they get waylaid. They're like, all right, let's ditch this kitchen, and they get sort of waylaid, and they're like, hold on, you guys gotta, make the so and so
soup.
Yeah, the soup. That's what I was thinking too.
I was thinking deviled eggs. I was trying to think of shit that I don't know how to make. I was like, I wouldn't know how to make a deviled egg.
Yeah, I don't know how to make a deviled egg either. So
the lobster bisque. You guys are on lobster bisque.
Lobster bisque. Yeah, so they're tasked with lobster bisque, and they break the rules of the puzzle. They actually use the lobsters, toss the live lobsters at people, and make their way out. I don't know how they do it.
Well, they could use it as a distraction.
As they're trying to
Yeah. I originally, I think I may have took puzzle 2 literally, and I was thinking it was going to have something to do with keys or door codes or something like that.
Well, I mean, they could give it an honest go at making the soup, and it could have ramifications later.
Yeah, that's true. So if they really suck at making the soup, right, they just toss a bunch of horse shit in there, and
the guests are getting sick.
Yeah. They don't actually cook the lobster.
The lobsters are in the soup, like.
Oh my God, that's horrific. Can you imagine a lobster just kind of swimming around in some chowder or something like
that? It's
moving.
That's Indiana Jones, my friends.
So if we agree that that's our puzzle, so they kind of create this distraction by poisoning everyone.
But that doesn't happen until
the rules.
That doesn't happen until later.
Right.
The actual fiasco.
But that could be their way in.
Yes.
Right? So that's their point of entry. Yeah, they haven't done the puzzle really well, but they say, "All right, chef, we've made the soup. All right, get it out there."
Yeah.
And so they opt to hand it off to a server. But maybe they take it upon themselves to serve it themselves to gain entry to the ballroom.
Well, they want to stay in the back, don't they?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Well,
I imagine they wanted to end up in the hallways going towards the warden's office.
That's true. You know what? You're absolutely right. Yeah. Why would they do that? That would blow their cover immediately.
It's okay.
Yeah. So
they hand it off.
So they hand it off. Task complete. They sneak out of the back. Now they're in the hallway.
Going for the warden's office.
Going for the warden's office.
Yep. And that brings us to, you mentioned that there's kind of an either or here. It's either the red herring or it's the boss. Right? Yeah.
The red herring in this case could probably be the crazy friend who's still in prison, the person who's gone nuts, which they could either go towards and find out that he's nuts and he really doesn't even want it anymore, in which case the treasure's theirs, or he's pining after it and he really, really wants it, and that changes their opinion about what they should do with it.
Well,
am I throwing out more options than solutions?
No, I think we got both of them. We've got both those options. We had talked earlier about how Jerry believes that they're doing this to give it back to his friend, and maybe running into his friend would sort of solidify, like, yes, this is what we have to do. But Mort's got it in the back of his mind, and the audience doesn't really know that yet, that I'm going to double cross these two, and I'm going to take the millions.
Yeah. I just think back to when they first get in the car and he's like, yeah, people are idiots. They'll pay anything for this. They're all suckers. They're all suckers.
It's entirely possible that the actual doll, the actual action figure could be the red herring, right? And so they go as far to find it, and then Mort says something like, oh, this one has a wedding ring on it. This is not the limited edition so-and-so. This is not the limited edition PIP. And so it's because
then the mission changes to just get the doll back to his friend.
Yeah. Right. Because they can't gain anything from it. They've already broken
and get out
prison.
Of prison too.
Because like a red herring is, it's essentially, it's a clue that's meant to mislead, right? And
correct.
So up until now, this has been the one operative clue that, I saw this thing in the office. Are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. And then they eventually break into the warden's office, and it's not the right action figure.
Yeah, it turns out to be
I don't know,
a Chinese knockoff.
Yeah, and there's some tall tale sign.
American knockoff.
Yeah.
An American knockoff.
There's some sort of tall tale sign or something. Something about the action figure that only Mort would know. Right.
I like the wedding ring. The wedding ring's cool. Like, PIP wasn't married.
Yeah. Or like
they did that in the 50s to make him,
when they tried to revamp it.
Yeah.
When they tried
to make him more wholesome.
It lasted even less.
It should be less value, or it should be more valuable, but it's not.
Yeah. It lasted even, it was even a shorter run than, like one episode, and everyone hated it. It's garbage.
Okay.
They buried them in the desert.
And then they found millions of them in the desert. They're not worth anything.
So that brings us to 4, which is the boss or the climax.
Right. So as they go in and they discover this, the door slams behind them. and they were faced with.
Is the crazy friend with them still? Do you think?
I don't think they found him yet.
They haven't found him yet.
Okay,
No.
okay. I thought they ran into him.
No, they haven't had a reason yet.
Gotcha.
They haven't had a reason.
Gotcha.
The warden slams the door behind them. They turn around in an instant. Sweat pours down their faces, and they are holding the doll in their hand. Mm-hmm. And the warden looks to them and says, "Aha! I knew you'd be back, Jerry. I always knew you'd be back." And his right-hand man steps forward. Boom, 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 boom. Brandishing a big pipe.
I was saying a club?
Yeah.
Club, yeah.
Taser.
Taser.
One of those taser clubs. Just
Yeah.
the worst thing ever.
Cattle prod.
Yeah.
Like in Demolition Man. And they fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hadn't really thought of a way that they're going to escape, let alone make their way all the way to solitary confinement where his friend is.
So they fight. They fight and fight and fight.
So we get somebody to choreograph this action scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And it'll be cool. I promise.
Very cool.
Very.
Everyone will just have to stand by. I mean,
It'll be like in They Live where they fight for 5 minutes straight.
Well, they had Rowdy Piper.
Yeah.
So they could do all the fight scenes.
it'll be like Old Boy or Ong Bak. It'll just be a long, continuous, no cut fight scene.
And everyone will just poop themselves and how cool this is.
People will bow to this.
Well, let's not
fight
forget
scene.
that the guests are at the ball. They're pooping themselves because of the soup they just served them to.
Speaking of poop.
Yeah,
Yes.
speaking of poop.
This is great. Yes, Josh. You had the same idea, I think.
Maybe.
Yeah. So while they're fighting, each like blow that they hit is like cracking like the lobster claw or something like that. Each portion of the fight is like the ups and downs of the guests getting sick. So we are juxtaposing the choreographing of the fight and people eating stuff. Like somebody gets hit in the teeth, you see the teeth biting this, or like, taking the food off the spoon, and whatever, this whole thing is just playing out back and forth, and we're seeing this all go down.
That's not.
What was your idea?
No, I was gonna say because I was hung up on this continuous no cut fight scene where the fight continues into the party. And so
that's good.
And so then it becomes sort of a.
But then it could too.
Yeah.
Then
it still works.
I think we can
Yeah.
get both of it. So as it busts into the party, then we get both of those things. But people are like doing it out of fear. They're just.
It's just a big prison riot, but with guests.
Yeah. There's a big distraction going on because there's guests and there's staff brawling too, and people getting sick, and they're still fighting the giant guy.
Right.
This might give them a chance to escape.
They have to find some sort of way to escape, and some sort of way to make this like give them enough time now that they have the toy, the thing, some excuse to go to solitary.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of like just this sort of serendipitous. Everyone's sick, because it's not just the guests at the party, but also a lot of the guards and stuff are eating, and so that's their opportunity. So it's toward the end. It's because we're at our climax, right? And they finally defeat Warden Wang, right?
Or his henchman. Yeah.
And so they kind of have it's that moment where they kind of have run of the place, and it could be this sort of bittersweet moment where they return the doll just through that little sliding door.
I did have a thought about how they could possibly defeat him. So, because of their actions previously, they have served raw shellfish to lots and lots of guests, including the prison guards.
Yeah.
What naturally happens if you eat raw shellfish and you and you shouldn't be eating it? Foodborne illness, which is what happens first?
I don't know.
Getting rid of it?
Yes, exactly. Everyone starts puking their guts out, which creates a very slick surface with which, Wang the guards, everyone's just like falling over each other and just like this just gigantic piles of puke. And our heroes are the only ones not puking right now because they're the only ones who haven't touched the soup. That could be their vehicle out.
Yep. Agreed.
Well,
yeah. And now
while
they're
the shit's
free.
going down.
Now they're free to run through
Right.
and I like what Josh was saying about, so they get to solitary, and the only way they can get into they
don't
can
have the
slide
keys.
the doll through the thing. So could there be that tension point between the two friends? I mean, they can be friends in the end, but Mort definitely wants millions of dollars.
But he realizes it's not the valuable one, though.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
We found out that the
right.
doll is the red herring.
Yeah, so now they're just trying to get it to him and escape. And the warden knows that Jerry was there, and so they're probably going to get in trouble.
Yeah, we hadn't really tied up that loose end.
But we talked about the warden being crooked. There's always that nice end to a story where the warden ends up in prison, and the criminals
following an investigation or something. I have not accounted for any of the cameras or anything that are probably in this
We
prison.
have designed the worst prison ever just to fit our story, and that is okay.
Get off my back about it.
Okay, so they've given the doll to his friend, and this is where they go to escape the prison. But because it was the last episode.
By the way, our story takes place in 1965.
Yes.
Yep.
Where
no cameras.
No cameras.
Nope.
Not yet. So they were trying. Yep,
Covered.
Perfect.
Deal with it, America.
So because they used the information from from episode 16 to get in, Jerry's like, okay, so how do we get out? And he's like, well, they never made episode 17. I don't know how they got out. And that's where we are.
Now, in solitary confinement, his buddy says, I know what happens in episode 17.
Oh, yeah.
He's
That's
like,
right.
and he could pull it like it's just like inside of his tattered prison uniform.
He's got a tattoo on his
He is. He's the ultimate fan.
Sure, yeah.
He has a tattoo on his back.
Because he was one of the artists that was working on it. I don't know why he
Stole money from the
was it-
company, forced them to go under or something like that. Or no, he
worked at the publishing company.
Maybe. So he saw the issue that never actually made it out.
Right.
And that's
he
why
vied for it.
That's why he had the doll.
He vied for it, but
he was the real biggest fan.
He was the real biggest fan. He vied for it. No one would back him. So he's like, I'll do it myself. And he stole company funds to try to publish it himself. And he was caught and he went into prison.
Yeah. In the U.S.
In the U.S. Because that's where it was made.
But even though it was made in Japan.
It was made in Japan. He was part of the publishing company.
Yeah.
He was part of the American.
The American. Yeah. I got
the one who translated it.
Yeah.
And printed it in English.
And he was like, "This is perfect. It's gotta be." Yeah. So he's got episode 17.
No,
maybe it's not like so far as tattooed on it, but he knows it verbatim. Right?
Yeah. So. Yeah, and so he's kind of their out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
he's the only one.
Yeah.
And only by going to the MacGuffin do we get this information.
Yeah. Yep.
No, that's cool. And then they live, they live not happily. I mean, they're not rich or anything, but at the same time.
Oh, let's play this out. How do they get out?
Yeah, we do. I do want to figure out how they got out.
I don't know, because I was under the impression that everyone was sick, and that's how they could sort of waltz out. But
well, everyone's sick, but they're still in prison, so there's still like high walls, and so look at this.
Maybe they do something with the gliding because it's in prison, so there's a bunch of bed sheets in the in the laundry room, and they
went in through the laundry. Well, kind of in through the following.
But they would know where the laundry room is.
They would know where the laundry room is.
Yeah, and so they use. Because in the episode, he uses tablecloths or something to build these wings and flies outside of the villain's chateau. So
and it uses Jerry's knowledge because he knows that there's a huge updraft at the south wall from 7 to 9 p.m.
There we go.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they escape and they go to South America.
Each grabs two corners of the sheets. They ride this billowing cloud of sheet outside. They make it out.
Now they have a long way to go to make it to the border of Mexico.
to live out the rest of their days.
They've got to ride like the wind.
That's right.
Michael McDonald.
Right. And we cut to Warden Wang, who just wipes green puke from his face, looks out the window and sees those two running off, and you see the anger in his face. He's like, "I'll get you, Jerry and Mort. I'll get you." And fade to black.
Whew. We made it through, guys.
You're welcome,
Whew,
Justin.
not gonna lie, I didn't think we were gonna make it through this one. We did it.
Nope.
You really? Was it rough? I haven't been around for
the very beginning. I thought was rough, but I think they're rough. I think
All right.
every single one of them's rough from the beginning.
All right.
Because we've sort of made this thing episodic. Like by the end of this movie, we've established that there could be or there will be another one. So it's kind of like a comic book.
Yeah.
So maybe we could call it like episode 17, or like allude to the fact that this is
episode 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, episode 17. That's pretty cool because it's like it's what everybody didn't get.
Yeah. Except this will be episode 5, episode 17.
Yeah.
It's just one idea. Something about comic books or about.
Well, it could be PIP : episode 17.
Yeah. I kind of like it. Yeah.
So because it was never made, and so their story could be kind of like the continuation of.
Yeah. I don't think a producer would greenlight it, but hey, there's not one around, so fuck it.
PIP episode 17.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Story Machine 9000. If you have any fan art that you'd like to submit, a poster for PIP episode 17, you can send that to storymachine9000@gmail.com, or you can find us on Twitter at storymachine9k, hashtag SM9k.
Also, we have some exciting news. We are now on iTunes, so please go to iTunes, look up Story Machine 9000, and subscribe and rate us. Very much appreciated.
A kind review would be nice too.
Very
if you
kind
feel
review.
that way.
Yeah.
Our logo design was by David Paget. Our music by Dave Ailing. This episode was edited by Dave Ailing. Thanks again for listening to Story Machine 9000. We'll see you next time.